Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
For some people, the outdoors is a hobby. For others, it's a lifestyle. Torque wheels are built for the ones who chase sunrise on the water, track game through the timber, and spend weekends towing boats, campers, and ATVs to the next adventure. With a full lineup of wheel sizes and fitments for trucks, SUVs, vans, trailers, and RVs, Torque wheels are made to match your lifestyle and your rig. Wherever you go, whatever you haul, go with confidence. Visit TorqueWheels.com to find a retailer near you.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at Accenture.com/Spotify.
Like that bull comes up, I see Jay draw back. I can't see anything. I can't see the bull. I don't know what's going on. I see Joel. I can tell by Joel's eyes there's a bull. This bull we saw is coming up. And I see Jay draw back. And then as soon as I start to see ears and antler come up, the draw, Jay's already drawn. That would be one piece of advice if there's anybody that doesn't know, like that's one thing I've learned in the woods is like draw early.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and we got a great episode for you today. Today, we're actually connecting with Brian Trainor. Brian is, weirdly enough, a friend of a friend. I actually had seen him presenting at a Full Draw Film Festival a couple months before I found out that he was good buddies with a friend of mine, someone who actually married a good friend of mine. So I don't want to steal too much of his thunder, but he is an entrepreneur, an athlete, a father, a hunter, and has some great stories for us today. So hope you guys enjoy this episode as much as I did. Let's go ahead and just kick this thing off. Let Brian tell you some of his stories. Thank you. All right, Brian. Welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, brother. How are you?
I'm really good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I'm glad to have you here. From one podcaster to another, we've been downloading like the pains and the struggles of producing these things. So it's nice to be talking to someone who understands what we're doing here, beyond just telling hunting stories. But that's what we're here for.
Right.
Also, it's cool that I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here. I don't like to do this, but we have a common friend who introduced us, which is it's a small world. Someone that I went to college with. Where did you meet Trent? I'm not even sure. You've been friends for a long time, right?
We were in the dorms together at Colorado State.
Okay, yeah. So he ended up marrying one of my friends from University of Colorado. So we're arch enemies, really, when you think about it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you are. You were a UNC guy?
No, Boulder.
Oh God, yeah. Oh
yeah. Sorry about that.
CU Boulder.
Yeah,
it's okay, man. I mean, I forgive you. You know.
You know what's funny is when I people ask me why did I start the podcast, I was like, well, I went to Boulder. So when I started this podcast, I knew more vegans than I did hunters, and I had to fix that. So the podcast was so I could meet more hunters.
I dig that.
I
dig that.
So I'm not the normal Boulder, crazy guy, but
that's where I wanted to go when I was in high school. Junior high, they won the Orange Bowl with Eric Bieniemy. I think I was in 6th grade. So I had the poster. I can still see it today. But they didn't recruit me, at all. I was a track kid. I went to Colorado State for track. CU did not call me and recruit me. I never went and sat down with them for football or track. Ended up on a bunch of those kind of, a bunch of visits for both of those sports out of high school. So, cool. I had a chip on my shoulder. I loved them. It was like that was the place I wanted to be. I went green and gold, man, and now I can't go back.
That's funny. So Stanford was my school that I wanted to go. I played volleyball of all things.
Nice.
I wanted to go there. I ended up getting to play against them. At Colorado, we had a club team, and we got to play against them. And the coach was like, "Man, if I had known that if I just get good grades, I could have come and played for your team. I would have maybe tried to get good grades." But I'm not kidding. When I played against them, had the best game of my life.
Awesome.
I also got yellow cards. I was screaming through the net. I was having too much fun. But we're way off track. All right, Brian, let's go back a bit. Let's go back. Yep. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick so the folks know who they're going to be hearing some stories from today, man?
So we met through our buddy Trent, and he called you because I just got one of the last updates on an app we're building called Rucklist. Got on the T-shirt here. So that's how we met. We met through just kind of the connection that we're on what we're doing here on the business side. Building an app that's going to be really focused on the hunting and fishing, outdoor adventure, backpacking, that whole world. And it's really about list creation, making sure you have the right stuff in the woods or on the river, and but then also being able to share those lists. So if you look, you can't look at it yet, but once it's done, you'll be able to look in and see. All right, here's Brian's list. Here's everything here's a picture of the elk he shot. Here's his gear list from that elk hunt.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of get the idea for me was it's going to look into a carpenter's toolbox and see what he has.
Yeah. Is it like a social platform where do you have to know someone to connect with them to see their lists?
Not at all. Every list is public unless you choose specifically to make your stuff not public, which is douchey in my opinion. I get it.
but an option.
There's no magic out there, right? It's just, don't hide the fact that you took X, Y, and Z meals or whatever. But people can. They can elect not to have their stuff posted publicly. But really the format, it's not that it's social in the way that we're going to try and connect people and do a lot of that. Yeah. But it's kind of open source, if you will, on everybody's hunting lists. You won't be able to see what's in their gear garage. So there's a gear garage site that has all your stuff in it. All that's really becomes public is lists that you've created and published that are for me, I'll have a 3-day archery elk hunt, a 5-day archery elk hunt, an 8-day mule deer hunt, 1 day from the truck mule deer hunting pack, all those things, 2-day winter fishing trip kind of stuff that lives in mine right now.
Gotcha. Every hunter has their lists, right? But they're on Excel or Google Docs or whatever. So all these crazy
and
platforms,
that works, right? It does work. This is nice in the way that it has check boxes. It tells you what your stuff weighs in total, how many calories you're taking if you've uploaded some of that information. But I really love, even for our stuff, I went on a bear hunt, 3 weeks ago? It's been a long month, man. Somewhere 4 weeks ago, I took my son, so me and him were in the truck. We went up to kind of Jackson, Wyoming, over into Idaho, kind of fished our way up to Montana. Okay. But, once you start taking your kid and you got your boy in the truck, the stakes are a lot higher on what gear you do and don't have it. And it, with me, I still want to have everything I need, but if I forget something, I'm not going to, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be up there griping the whole time. I'll be a little cold, I might be a little hot, whatever layer I forgot, or it's usually that, right? Or a little hungry, but I can live, right?
Yeah.
And, forget a water bottle
when you're bringing a kid along.
But when your kid's there, a 14-year-old boy, and you're trying to get him to fall in love with what you're in love with already as a hunter or a fisherman, you spend most of your time trying to make it perfect, right? You're I just want him to kind of get up here, be very comfortable. I've never carried a little folding chair to glass before, but I did with him. I was okay, we'll carry these chairs. Got tons of extra snacks. We got extra layers. We got rain. We got all these things that maybe I wouldn't carry as much of normally. So it was maybe a little overloaded on the list, but, a different objective there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm taking my son out for the first time. He's 7. We'll be almost 8 when we get around to it, but I'm taking him an antelope hunt, and I got a Colorado C tag for a cow elk that's pretty low impact. We're not going to have to hike a bunch. It's a property that, basically we know they're going to winter on, so I'm just take them out and let them kind of experience, hopefully let them experience the endpoint. But, I didn't think about all those things, but you're right. You gotta pack a little extra.
All the comfort things, extra snacks, just everything that makes him go, that was a lot of fun with my dad.
Yeah.
I want to go back again, right? It becomes far less about the animal, in a way.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. By the way, we're going on down some rabbit holes. Brian, who are you? Let's start there.
Oh, man. That's wild. I think first and foremost, I'm a father and a husband. right? So I've got two kids. I've got a 17-year-old daughter. She'll be a senior this year. I've got a 14-year-old son that'll be a freshman. Been married to my wife since 2004. So where are we at? 22 years now. We've been together since 2000. So 20.
Got me beat. I'm at coming up on 13 this year. So I thought I was doing good, but you're crushing it.
You are doing good. It's the greatest accomplishment of my life to be married that long. Not because it was so hard or any of that. It's just being committed to that and learning each other and working toward that common goal. And so it's not always easy. It hasn't always been easy. We've had to work. I think anybody that's, well, maybe there's one or two out there, but I think anybody that's trying to stay married for 25, 30 years, you go through things, you go through hard things and good things. And, you're going to help, your parents through the end of their life and some of those different things that come up. And, you're going to have kids, you're going to have struggles there,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so that's probably my greatest accomplishment. I would tell you, is that my day job, I have sold real estate for 22 years now. I own some companies with my brothers. So we have kind of trades-based companies, roofing, epoxy coatings, and an HVAC company. So I do that. I spend a lot of time. We own quite a bit of just the rental real estate around this Front Range area. So I spend a lot of time kind of focused on that. And then when I'm not doing that, and I try to do that as little as possible, I go hunting as much as possible, man. So
all right.
Right now I've been fishing a ton. That's just the season. It is what it is, So even on the bear hunt, I definitely fished more days bear hunting than I was bear hunting, So we're right next to the Ruby River. I couldn't help myself. So the guys, we'd go out in the morning for 3 or 4 hours. We'd come back to camp and everybody's napping, and I'm like, I can't not go hike in and go fish. So I'd go fish kind of midday while the guys were napping and then do that. And then I fished front and back side of that hunt as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How long have you been hunting? Your whole life, or did you pick it up somewhere in the middle?
No, I really started in 2012. I'd always been, where I grew up in southeastern Colorado, where it was really common to have, when I was a kid, I'd take my grandpa's 22 out to the river. We lived down near the Arkansas River, and I'd go, shoot branches or take some bottles. You could find bottles down where all the high school kids or whatever would go party, and I'd put them on, break off a tree and put a bottle on there and go back and shoot it. And then I bought this, I had a job when I was in 5th grade. I cleaned an apartment complex, a block down from our house. And the two first things I bought was a bike and a bow and arrow. And that's kind of still where my priorities are at today, right? I love riding a bike and I love shooting a bow and arrow. And so, from an early age, I would go out at night, illegal, I guess, at this point, but I would spotlight rabbits at night. I'd duct tape a flashlight to the little. It was kind of a red. My brothers we talked about it in the podcast yesterday. It was red. It has an Indian on it. I forget what it was, but it's a little compound thing you got from Walmart back in the day. Anyway, I'd go shoot rabbits, and I've always loved shooting a bow. And so I had never hunted really. I'd never learned to hunt until I would have been 2012, so I'd have been 32. Yeah. So I went on my first. Well, that's not true. I went on a rifle elk hunt with a buddy in college. He knew I wanted to try it, and just we got some cow tags. We went up by Meeker and Craig.
Okay.
And we probably saw 35 bulls and no cows. It was just like it is how it is, right? Like I have a cow tag in my pocket. Could not find a cow to save our lives. And so, but really, I didn't start hunting till I was 32 years old, really. And so it was something I didn't do much of anything because, out of high school, I had gotten a scholarship to do track and field at Colorado State. So I was a thrower. And then I threw post-collegiate as well, tried out for the Olympics 3 times. And so that kept me busy. I didn't really do anything. Like this was my throwing hand, and I didn't even use it to hold nails. If I was hammering nails, you know what I mean? I would hold my, because I hammer with my left hand. So normally I would hammer with my left and hold with my right. But I learned how to switch hands just because I was like protecting this hand, right? So I was pretty focused on that right up until really I retired in 2016. So I thought I was done in 2012. I should have probably been done in 2012. By the time you're 32, you're old in that sport, in any sport. So I went till I was 36, which was beyond what I should have done. So
okay, what's funny is a lot of hunters have this kind of same arc, but there's 2 categories. It's like I hunted when I was younger, and you did a little bit with your rabbits, and then sports or women typically in that same time frame take a lot of guys away from the woods, and then they all come back eventually, maybe once they've settled down.
Yeah, man. I think it just called to me, right? When I think, trying to chase that Olympic thing and have to be sort of the best in the world at something, and without really knowing it, because I didn't know what I was getting myself into with archery elk hunting. It's almost like subconsciously I walked into the archery shop and I ran into a guy named Josh Soholt in there. And I was like, without saying it, I basically said, what's the hardest thing I can do? You know what I mean? And it was kind of like, how about you take a bow into Colorado, public land, and do it at, do it a backcountry version of that. So don't go in just 2 or 3. Let's go 12 miles in. Let's stay for 8 days. Let's see if we can't shoot a bull elk back in there. Right. Yeah. So I think without really knowing I was doing it, I set my odds really against me. And I think that part of the reason was I was really comfortable. That was kind of where I had been for, 12 years of training, right? Going, I want to be the best in the world at something. No, I never wanted to be the best, and I still do not want to be the best in the world at elk hunting. Like, I love the feeling of not being great at it, in a way. Yeah. I love that it's novel. I feel like I'll never be amazing at it. I've hunted a ton at this point, but I still always feel like there's something to learn. I always feel like I've got a long way to go before I get where I'm trying to get. So
yeah, it gives you something to strive for, right? If you're the best in the world at something, it's like, well, what else is there to accomplish? Yeah. I've put myself into a spot where I'm like, I know I'm never going to be a very good hunter, and I'm very comfortable with that. Sure. My goal is to make my son at least a decent hunter. I'll teach him those things. So I started roughly the same time as you, maybe about 10, 11 years ago. And I've just been teaching myself. So I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to pass on what I do know to my son. If hopefully he likes hunting and hopefully he can be a little bit more effective than I can. And we'll just start building our family tradition from there. And like, that's my goal as being a hunter. I'm going to have a lot of fun days in the woods, and hopefully I have those fun days with my kids when they get a little bit older. So that's
what is being good. I mean, I think that it really begs that question of like, what does it mean to be a good hunter? Right. Yeah. Or even to be a hunter at all. Right. Like, what's that mean? Right. And so I think you really start to dig in on those things. And honestly, for me, I compare it to like playing fort when I was a kid, go to the woods, build a fort out of sticks, and stay out there for a little while. And hunting gives you a way to do that. Just you get a bow in your hand now, but you and your buddies go out and you all put up a tent and you wake up in the morning and you go hike around and see what you see.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And to me, that's the success. And so I guess maybe I've just kind of shifted my expectation to fit my, to fit my mood, I guess. Right. And so that I want to always be able to win out there. Right. If I kill a bull or a cow, that's a success. If I happen to kill a big bull, cool. My friends are going to like the picture better, But, I've told this story on the podcast before, on the Rucklist podcast, but I won't say names because you know these names. But I was at a table in one of our business dealings years ago. 2 of the men at the table were billionaires, and then one of the billionaire's son, and then me and another guy. And we start talking hunting at this barbecue joint in Slayton, Texas. And they pull out their pictures like, oh, we're talking elk hunting, right? And well, of course those guys shot an elk last year because they got billions of dollars. Like, it's easy. You just write that check.
The elk was tied to a tree and is 400 inches.
It pretty much was, man. So it was funny because they pulled out their phone and they start showing around the picture. And there was only two of the people in the group had shot an elk. So it wasn't like everybody had, but 2 of the big dogs there had shot elk. And it's them, and it's their monster elk, that looks like nothing I've ever seen in the wild, right? Yeah. And then the guide standing behind him, right? And then the other one, same thing. It was actually just him alone. You could see the guide off to the side. And then they got to mine, and it was, I don't know, it was a 250 bull. It wasn't even my bull. It was my buddy Jay's bull, and me and my brother and our buddy Joel. And so it's all 4 of us, standing behind a whatever bull. To us, it was an absolute stomper of a bull because we've been hunting for 6 days hard, hadn't seen a damn thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. The random bugle off as we're coming off this, what we call like glassing knob, or where we hunt a ton. We're coming off glassing knob, walking down this drainage toward our camp, and Joel's like, I'll just bugle my way back because what's it going to hurt? It was almost dark. And everybody that elk hunts knows this story because everybody's got a version of this story where Joel cracks off a bugle. We hear something, and all of a sudden Jay goes, there's a bull in those trees over there, and he just had poked his head out. And so, we make our way down actually we were kind of walking on a ridge like idiots, like a ridge in the bottom of a drainage, right? So we're at the bottom of the drainage, but in the middle of the bottom of the drainage, it had just a little rise. Mm-hmm. We were walking that rise. So we get over the tree line. Joel actually cow calls one more time, and that bull just comes in on a string. And so I'm a rookie at this point. I'm still a rookie today. Jay is the guy that got me, and we'll circle back to him because he's a huge part of my hunting story and my hunting life. And he's a brother to me now. He was the guy when I said, I want to go hunting. He said, cool, I'll take you, which in every hunter's life, there's that guy, right? And hunting has to be passed down, I believe. Like, maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe you can pull it all from all the YouTubes and all that. But I think the most beautiful part of hunting is that it gets handed to you by somebody, and the gift that is that. So the guy that handed me hunting, Jay, me and my brother Adam are going to get set up to, okay, Jay's at the top, I'm in the middle, Adam's at the bottom. Well, I'm an idiot, and I get behind a pine tree. And Jay is experienced hunter, and literally he stands kind of up in front of a rock that's maybe comes to his hip, and he's right in front of it. And I'm looking at him going, how in the hell, Jay, you know what I mean? You're out in the middle of nowhere, just open. Yeah. Now, we were off the back of this little rise, so the bull couldn't see us until he'd come up and over. But because Jay knows what he's doing, this has happened to us 3 times where he's tried to put me in shooter positions, and he just can't help himself. But he's just such a freaking killer, you know what I mean? That he just by nature will put himself, even if he's trying to get me to be the shooter, he just puts himself in a spot where I think innately his instincts take over. He's trying to do a thing to get me a bull, and the bull goes to him, God,
I wish I had that skill.
Right, exactly. So this bull is just, and I think it's a okay 5x5, doesn't matter. I get behind a tree. My brother Adam gets in front of a tree, but down lower, because Adam's better than I am as well. And sure shit, like that bull comes up. I see Jay draw back. I can't see anything. I can't see the bull. I don't know what's going on. I see Joel. I can tell by Joel's eyes there's a bull. That this bull we saw is coming up. And I see Jay draw back. And as soon as I start to see ears and antler come up, Jay's already drawn, right? So he knows, like, draw early. That would be one piece of advice if there's anybody that doesn't know, like, that's one thing I've learned in the woods is, like, draw early,
Yeah, you can hold it longer than you think, especially in the moment.
When your adrenaline's dumping, you don't even feel the bowstring in your hand. You know what I mean? If guys that have drawn, they just go, you go, foomp, and it's like, oh, God, I almost pulled my string right out of my bow because you're so excited, right? So draw early, and Jay did. Jay drew early. He waited for that bull to come up and crest. He just had to kind of go from feel. He thought, okay, it's 45 yards-ish. He put a pin on it and dumped it. I don't know how we got started on that story.
Yeah, you were talking about the billionaires, but this is good. This is exactly why we're here.
That's right. Yeah. So the billionaires, and God bless them for liking to shoot, and harvest elk, right? But I won that afternoon at that little barbecue joint in Slayton, Texas, because in my opinion, I looked at the 3 pictures. I said, probably 410, 420. The other one was a little smaller, probably a 360, 370 bull, and then our little 250. And I walked away with the trophy. I believe, because I had like brotherhood behind me and around me, right? Yeah. And I pretty much always do. And so to me, that's the winning, right? That's where you win in hunting is if you can do this thing and go out and have your brothers with you.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Stream the biggest moments in sports live on Fox One. The biggest names, the biggest games, the biggest matchups. Watch live or catch up on your schedule. At home or on the go, never miss a moment. All on Fox One. Stream now.
And I'm lucky enough to actually have my brothers a couple times, but I have those guys like Jay and Joel and, Colin, and the list goes on of the men that I consider brothers out in the woods,
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty special, the relationships that we build out there. I'll also say this. You said that hunting needs to be handed to you. I don't know if it has to be, but it certainly helps is what I'll say. So, like, I started in YouTube, right? Like, it was me and Randy Newberg, Fresh Tracks. Like, that's how I was learning. Yep. Corey Jacobson, Elk Talk Podcast, all that. That's how I started.
Yeah.
Never mind, I didn't kill anything for like 8 or 9 years, until someone took me under their wing. Jermaine Hodge. I don't know if you've met Jermaine. Yeah, he's amazing. And like I had him on the podcast, and he made a terrible mistake, which was saying, hey, if you do ever draw that tag that you mentioned in that particular unit, give me a call and I'll go with you. He doesn't know I'm the kind of guy that's not going to turn down a sweet opportunity. And I knew I would draw that tag the next year. I called Jermaine immediately, and he was like, let's go. And so Jermaine basically handed me hunting, because before that it was just me stomping around the woods. And I'd never killed anything. Go out with Jermaine, never mind the fact that him and Pat Luttrell are 2 world champion elk callers that I'm elk hunting with. Yeah. I then shot, like the next year, I shot an antelope and a moose. And like I just, like all of a sudden it started to click. And so, and I could say the same about turkey hunting. I had a mentor for that briefly. I just found someone on Facebook and they took me out and I got my first turkey, and I killed 3 turkeys since then. So having that person, whether they're a family member or just someone you find in your life, does definitely sharpen the curve and also just
and you're
creates a
right.
relationship that never goes away. Yeah.
Well, that's just it. Once you've hunted together, it's like I'll tell you this. Once you've hunted together, you're either like bonded for life, or you never want to see that guy again, right? That's true. I've had a couple of those guys. I'm like, this guy will never be back in hunt camp with me. I'll never call him again. Like, I thought I liked him. Turns out I don't. You know?
Yeah.
Because there's that whole chop wood and carry water mentality that has to live in hunt camp. And for me, that's like a core, you know what I mean? That's just a core behavior that if it's not there in a guy, I can't do it. Just can't. I won't do it.
I'm with you on that. Something that I've discovered about myself is that like I need people that are willing to put in the same effort, not necessarily like specifically in hunt camp, like prepping preseason. I don't want to do all the work. I don't want to do all the scouting. Because if everyone's doing the same amount of work that I'm doing, oh boy, do we have a lot of information to move forward with. But it just feels to me recently in my hunting that it just seems like it's me saying, come on, guys, look what I got for us. So I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think that it's a conversation worth having with the guys. Go like, hey, it'd mean the world to me if you'd go scout a little bit. Otherwise, I'm going to go to my mountain. You're going to go to yours. We can camp together.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go over here and you're going to go by yourself or whatever else. But yeah, we've had a mixture of all that when we, there's, early on it was 3 of us, and then it kind of turned to 4, then it was 5, and then it kind of breaks up, and guys go, well, I want to try this. Not because anybody doesn't like to hunt together anymore. Everybody would love to, but you get to the point where you kind of want to explore some other woods. You want to try a different style of hunting, right? So you're used to kind of like the steep kind of Rocky Mountain elk hunting that we have here, and then there's like that call to go, I want to go down to like southern Colorado or New Mexico, or kind of feel that like kind of that pinyon and juniper kind of country, right? So we've had, some of that. Or if a guy's trying to save up points, and like, I'll burn my points. I don't care. I'm not a point saver whatsoever. And so I'll burn them just because I want to have the experience. I'm more about just going every year. I don't really care. Although there's a unit in Colorado that takes about 5 points on mule deer that I hunted last year with a friend, and I was like, I'm saving these points up for this unit, because it was like Disneyland mule deer. It was amazing. But
cool.
For me, it's usually terrain change or type of, what I mean, the flora fauna kind of feel of the area being different. We were in the redwoods with my family, and there's Thule and Roosevelt elk there. I think the Roosevelts must be on a farm or something. I asked a tour guide, but he didn't give me an acceptable answer. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't think you're right about that, buddy.
Yeah, I don't think they just roam in much public land out there. I think you got to know somebody.
Yeah, I mean, the Thules do over there, and and I hope I'm saying that right, but I was walking the redwoods thinking, how freaking cool would it be to kind of be in a redwood forest and go, these big ferns, and you've seen, like, if you watch the Born and Raised guys hunt at all, like when they're hunting in all those kind of that fern country, I think that would be cool, right? So I think for me, there's like that setting thing that draws me to different hunts as well. So
absolutely. I started my hunting in Washington, so like some similar terrain there. So and then I've done hunting in Hawaii, and I was like, this is so cool. Like, the plants want to kill me, but like red dirt, and you get to the top of a hill and you see water in every direction. I think it's important to go different places and hunt different terrains, different animals, all that stuff, because they're very different experiences.
Man, when I'm hosting, it's interesting because I'm trying to pay attention to think of the next question. When I'm on your podcast, I don't have to think, but I can just talk and say dumb shit. You have to keep track of where we were. So it's on you now to bring us back to me, because I'm so ADD, dude. You will lose me on something. Right. But we talked about hunting being handed down, and you're right. It doesn't absolutely have to be handed down, but I romanticize it, I think, a little bit in my own head, and I kind of keep telling myself that, like, fly fishing and fishing, fly fishing, that world, as well as hunting, are best learned handed down. How's that?
100%. 100%. I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying technically someone could
and
slave through YouTube.
Myself a little bit too. There's so much information out there now. When we first started, and it wasn't that long ago, but 2012. I mean, Cam Haynes had Backcountry Bow Hunting, I think was the book. You could read that, but you didn't have like guys putting the amount of content out that they are now. And so, Corey with Elko in 01, and you watch it, and I love those videos, right? Yeah. I just love watching, how he draws it kind of like John Madden style of like elk's here, wind is moving here, I'm going to call from here and move my guy to there, right?
Absolutely.
And there's so much to learn from that. Yeah. So
agreed. There's, it's definitely gets you started, but there's nothing like going into the woods with someone and they start taking you in direction like, why
it's
are we
a tribal
doing this?
knowledge piece, right? Like there's that tribal knowledge that comes with hunting that you just don't get without just being out there and experiencing it. You can read about it all you want, right? But
That's true. That's true. Okay, well, you called me out on keeping us on track, so I got to do it now. Right?
I'm not telling you not doing your job. I'm just telling you
this is your fault, Brian.
I'm out of the bag here, so I'm not.
But let's do this, man. Let's. We're here to hear stories, and we've gone into some of the philosophical aspects, and you also accidentally told the story, which was great. But why don't you set the stage, man, for another story? Let's rattle off a few, and then get on with our days, because I know you got more going on today, and I want to be respectful of your time.
It's good. I would say probably it's like picking your favorite kid, telling your favorite story, right? we decided to do this podcast this morning, so I knew you were going to ask the question. I was like, man, what story am I going to tell? It's hard not to tell the story of the bull that's behind me, and so his name is Lost Bull, and so for those that are watching, he looks like a deadhead because I found him. I'll start with the punchline of the story. Is I found him a year later, right? And so, Jay, who
alert.
I talked about, what's that?
I said spoiler alert.
I know, spoiler alert. So Jay, who was my mentor in hunting, we had been hunting almost 10. I think it was our 10th year. I had hunted 114 days with a bow in my hand for a bull elk. I had put an arrow in one. So I shot a bull probably 4 years before this. My brother and I were coming down a drainage. He was above us on the ridge. And, it's like when they're moving, they're walking and feeding, and we're running, and they're still in front of us somehow. I don't know how they go that fast, but they do, right? And so this bull, we were running down the ridge. He was actually working down. It was morning. We ran, and we would call, and he'd be in front of us 75 yards still. So we'd run down and try and get in front. Finally got in front of him, cut him off. My brother called. We both had a bow in our hand, and he came basically straight at me, and he had me pinned down, and this is the first bull I ever shot, not the bull behind me, but he had me pinned down, and he was probably, he was at 52 yards, but he was probably 18 yards high of me, right? So he was uphill. And it was a straight frontal shot. And he's looking at me, and if you've ever been in the woods and been pinned down by a bull elk, and they move their head just slightly side to side. And I think it's them just trying to, how like when you do the same thing. If you haven't noticed, you do the same thing when you're looking for animals. You'll move your head to the side a little bit to see if they move in relationship to whatever, and just kind of get. And so he's doing that to me, and I'm drawn back. And so he has me pinned, and he's moving side to side, and I'm watching his eyes watch me. And I didn't think he was going to bust, so I was like, okay, I'm going to settle in on my spot, and I'm going to shoot him. And I had picked, Mentor Jay had always told me, you just pick a piece of fur and you drill a hole in it, right? And so I remember just like looking at that transitional color. I mean, I'd studied these shots before, because I'm like, if you get a frontal, what do you choose? What do you look at? So I had watched the videos, tribal knowledge stuff, right? You got to learn it in the field. And so I knew the spot I wanted to be, but what I didn't know is that spot is great if you're on the same plane. So if you're here and he's here, and you're looking each other in the eye. But if you move him 52 yards away and 18 yards above you, what can happen, I think what must have happened, is I hit right where I wanted to, but it went up, right? So it went up through
didn't hit the heart.
Didn't hit his heart. Nope, it went up through the neck and out the back. It didn't come out. That there was probably 10 inches of arrow sticking out of his chest.
Okay.
When he ran away. We had a little bit of blood. My brother and I tracked him for probably 6 or 7 hours.
Oof.
We knew that we had split up into groups of 2. So group of 2 went onto one ridge. We went on the other, put an arrow in this bull, tracked him. I bet we went 1.5 miles, 2 miles, to the point where I could look at a print, because there was a herd of elk that had been in there, but I could look at a print and know that was my bull. But there he wasn't my bull. He was just a bull at this point. But then I'd be like, okay, that's him. I can tell by the way he's pushing, because he's injured, right? He's going downhill and he's not. And you could see, okay, push, little drop of blood, right? Yeah. And then you'd watch 6, 7, 8 more steps and you'd find a drop of blood on a leaf. Just so little blood. We went back to camp after this like 6, 7 hours of tracking. Of course, our buddy's like, where in the hell were you guys? There's no service where we're at. Man, I shot a bull, but can't find him. And Jay being Jay, we packed up just a really minimal camp. We just took sleeping bags and pads and a little bit of food, hiked back over to Last Blood, and we tracked him the balance of that day, and then we slept on the ground like at Last Blood that we could find at that point. We just laid out bags and slept there. Woke up the next morning, continued to track, found like 2 or 3 more little drops of dried up, and just never found him, which is unfortunate. That's how this next story goes too, actually. So I don't know why this is hunting. Hunting stories, I guess. I'm trying to think of a funny way to say I didn't kill anything in either one of these great hunting stories, but that is part of it, And yeah. So
I've been listening to a lot of stories, obviously, right? I've heard plenty. It's not always the kill that is the most memorable thing. Guys dwell a lot more on the one that got away. It's like more important to like remember that. Maybe it's because we want to make sure we never forget that lesson. I don't know, but it's a very common theme.
This bull in the studio instead of the other bulls that are in my garage or at a buddy's house or whatever, right? The other bulls are not. I don't ever look at them. I look at this freaking guy every day. It's just a reminder of like, this matters. Be better, train for this, try hard, right? And so about 3 years later, at this point now I'm 110 days, 115 days in the woods hunting with a bow in my hand. Let me think here. Who was on the hunt? I know it was me and Jay. It was another foursome situation where Jay and I decided we were going to go off onto one ridge. For us, we don't tend to go all 4 in one spot. Okay. It just doesn't feel like an effective way to try and locate animals in the woods and figure out where they're at in these drainages this year. We'll go up and scout some, but we've hunted this area enough that we pretty much know we can sit here and they're going to be in one of 3 kind of major big areas, and then we'll hone in on that area and hunt that area until they move again. But so Jay and I went kind of out of camp, went down a trail about 2 miles, and it's really funny. He teases me all the time because it seems like either every time I'm pooping in the woods or if I'm pooping in the woods, we'll hear a bugle. But I almost always, if we hear a bugle, I got to shit, guys. I am so sorry. This is unbelievable. Like every time we hear, it's like that first morning bugle just hits. It's like a cup of coffee and nicotine hits me, and it's
that's too funny.
Go. But this time it happened the other way around. So we'd gone about 2 miles in the dark, like you do. And I was like, dude, it's hitting me. Like, let's just get it over with because, if I hear a bugle, I'm going to take a shit. And so let's just do it. And so we went up on this ridge. The sun had just started to rise, and we could make we've hunted together for hundreds of days. And so we're not going to hide behind trees. We're just getting far enough where you're not smelling or hearing your buddy, but we still could see each other. Right. Yeah. And so I can see Jay over there. I'm on a log. He's on a log. We're just on this mountain face. We're not even really covered by anything. And all of a sudden, like, let's call it 45 seconds into this poop session, and the freaking monster bugle pops off. And we're sitting on one face, the trail's at the bottom of this face, and up on the other face across from us. It's like, and if you've been out there with elk, when you've got kind of that straight, almost line of sight, from like where we're out on a ridge and he's out on a ridge, and we can, it's like the bugle just hit us right in the face. And so, me and Jay are just cleaning up, pants on as fast as we can get, and we just start running. We had to go through this kind of nasty, big, deep marsh. And so and we're making a ton of noise. And I'm like, dude, we're going to make a lot of noise, but I've done it enough at this point. I know, like, hey, that's just what you're going to have to do. Like, you're not closing the distance on this bull without making noise. And he's also up there making a ton of noise, and his cows are making a ton of noise. And so we just blew through this marsh. It was soupy, cattaily, gross. And then we had to cut from there up that ridge that he was on, and he was moving from our right to our left.
Okay.
And so once we got to the bottom of this ridge, we started cutting left hard at about a 45 up the ridge. And again, Jay having the instincts he does, we kind of stopped at 2 or 3 little openings. We're like, I don't think we're high enough. We kind of would just a quick, you know what I mean? Just a really quick thumbs up or thumbs down, right? So if you're hunting, like you hear him bugling, he's pushing those cows. He's pushing them hard. And at this point, like, we'd go and be like, kind of look at Jay, and he'd be like, no, let's go a little bit further up, right? We'd stop and kind of look around and go, this isn't quite it.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Bring a date, your squad, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
If you're a QuickBooks customer looking to grow without the growing pains, you need the Intuit ERP, the AI native ERP that upgrades right from QuickBooks. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
You mind if we make one more stop before heading back? I need to run a Target.
100%. Let's RTT. You thinking of stuff for the dorm?
Yeah, my mom gave me some good tips on must-have essentials. We for sure need underbed storage, handheld iron for wrinkles, maybe even a mini Keurig for Mondays. Am I right?
All right, bet. Because I was already thinking about keeping my clothes looking fresh at college, so you better be sharing that.
Of course, man. Whatever I get on this run is yours too.
Twin.
But for real, let's go before they close.
Find everything you need for college at Target.
And I think after like that, probably the 4th time we heard him and he was close. And so Jay was like, I'm going to go here. And Jay was pushing me to that shooter position because he wanted me to shoot.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's like, you go up around that little bend. It was like, I'm trying to think of how big it was. The opening was not that big. Let's call it a basketball court size kind of clearing in the woods. Right. Okay. And so Jay's on, I'm sitting underneath the hoop. And Jay's on kind of like mid-court, and he's standing in front of some trees. I'm in front of a tree. Thank goodness I've learned my lesson there. And then it's just kind of open with a couple small little pines in between. And just the second we get there and I get an arrow knocked, cows start to shuffle through. And the wind, we had gone up this ridge, and the thermals were still like still coming down in the morning. So luckily they were coming from high to low, and we're sitting low on this little basketball court size opening. And I had a cow-calf walk. I could have reached out and touched the calf's tongue, and it's licking its nose, and they stop, and like they know I'm there, and I'm in front of a pine tree, so it's like me and an arm's length to this calf, and just not moving. And I thought, we're so busted, right? And if you've been in that situation, you can see the moisture on their nose, you can see them licking their nose and kind of like tasting the air, and I'm like, I cannot move. And just the second that they decide to move on and get behind a pine tree, out of the right side of my eye, I see what would be this bull's left antler set. And you can't quite see it in the video, but it's kind of his top 3, his 4, 5, 6 kind of just go all kind of close together up top. It's almost like, in my mind, I think it looks like flames,
Okay. Yeah.
So out of my peripheral, I see it. And also, I'm like, Jay's right there. This bull... It must have been 2 yards from Jay. And later on, I asked him, I was like, you could have shot that bull. He's like, yeah, I could have shot him. And he would have killed him, right? He would have harvested. I killed this bull. I didn't harvest this bull, right? Jay would have harvested this bull. He'd have made a good shot just because he's good. Okay. He grew up in the East Coast killing, I don't know how many whitetail they can kill a year, 20? I don't know. He got good at it.
Never mind. It's hard to miss from 2 yards,
It's hard to miss from 2 yards, but, yeah, well, just listen. So...
Oh, shit.
So I see above these little pines, I see just the tip tops of his antler coming through out of my right peripheral. So I draw, because I had learned the lesson there, like draw early. So the second I saw antler, I knew if he crosses in front of me, I want to be drawn back already. So I drew, and he came walking across and stopped I stepped it off later at 8 yards.
Okay.
And so you would think that I should it doesn't get any easier, but had always, somebody at some point had told me early on, if you have a bull or any animal under 10 yards, cover him in pins, put your pins on his vitals and pull the trigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'd always just thought, in that year, I think on average that year I had shot 35 arrows a day.
Okay.
Like I was wildly consistent. I was duct taping flashlights to my targets, brushing snow off of stuff. Like I essentially didn't miss a day that year, but I was shooting at 75 yards, 90 yards in the snow. I've got videos of it. Shooting, leaning around trees, hooking a leg on a pine tree in my backyard here and kind of shooting and leaning over to everything except for shooting at 10 freaking yards, right?
Yeah.
Like in your mind, you never visualize, especially as a young hunter, you always visualize he's at 65 yards. He's been and he's taking his head down to take a bite of grass, right? His head comes up. He takes that step forward. That gives me my shot, and I loose the arrow, right?
Yeah.
That's the visual I've done in my head thousands of times as a young hunter. And because I'll go through every shot for the most part in my backyard, it's that, right? Okay, what's my scenario, right? And I'll run that scenario, right? And it's mostly scenarios I've been in that I've failed at killing an animal, right? So he does this. He all of a sudden turns ass to you, right? You had that split second. I had a bull in Montana a couple years ago, 40 yards, and if I'd have been drawn and ready to go, I would have killed him, or I'd have had a good shot, and I wasn't ready, and as soon as he got up where I could shoot him, he just turned ass to me and walked straight away. Anyway, this bull gets to 8 yards and stops. I cover him in pins, and I let it go, and it shot high. I mean, it killed him, but not until after we lost him,
Okay.
So
how high did it hit him?
I don't know, because by the time I got to him, he was just a pile of fur.
Okay. All right.
I didn't find him till the next year. So the arrow. So here's the arrow. And we'll get to this. So I don't know how high I hit him, because this would have been what was inside of his body, because I found this in the bone pile.
Yeah.
Right. And so I covered him in my pins like an asshole, and shot him high. And me and Jay celebrated. I cried. We had a chew together. We ate some Red Band. We we gave him all the time. I got to the first log. If I shot him in the basketball court underneath the hoop, he went straight away from me at that point, kind of at the half court line again. The first log covered in blood on the right side,
Okay.
Big spray
Good
of
sign.
blood.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we're good. We hug it out. We're high-fiving. Let's just give him the time. We'll go find this bull. Well, he goes from where we were at. It went straight uphill. Like it was wildly steep, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, not hands and knees steep, but it was steep. And we had good blood the first 60 yards. And then it went to like a drop, like here and a drop there. And it must have just been that kind of that high, probably high lung, no man's land. Some fat got in the hole. I was shooting a Sever. I was shooting a Sever mechanical.
Okay.
So I feel like the broadhead was effective, right? To a point. I mean, it worked eventually, but what happened is we went all the way up over this ridge we were on, back down through the marsh, the extension of the marsh that we had crossed in the first place to get to this bull. Back down to that marsh, we saw there was one log laying horizontally right before the marsh. We saw a scuff that looked like it was a leg that had a little bit of blood on it, that just kind of, you could, that look of where a leg has rubbed on a log as he stepped over. And then he went into this marsh that was probably 200 yards long, like across. And we couldn't find a single. I mean, if he had blood on him going into it, it would have been wiped off by all of this wet moose brush. We went to the other side and could not find anything of where he came out the other side.
Yeah, never mind that moose brush. When you get tied in on it, it's like speckled red. Like that, I shot a moose in moose brush, and we were looking for blood, and I'm like, everything is speckled red. Like, how are we going to find anything?
Blood, right?
Yeah, it was
and
brutal.
There's also those little red leaves that grow out there too. That is in that same kind of climate, right, or zone where there are little red leaves, and it is killer out there. trying to track a blood trail, right? You want to get back off to where you have like a fallen aspen or something. Give me something white. Give me something dead and dry.
Give me some snow.
Oh, geez, right? So we didn't find him, and I'm walking back thinking, thank God you can't shoot yourself with your own bow, because I wanted to. I was so mad at myself. I was devastated, right?
Yeah.
And it really kind of ruins the rest of the hunt as the shooter. I was not in the mood to be shooter again on that hunt. I wasn't shooter again on that hunt. I wasn't going to shoot another arrow at a bull, or any elk for that matter, because I felt like I wounded him, probably killed this bull. I'm not going to find him. And so it just, I kind of shut it down. And now, fast forward a year later, we had drawn that tag again. And I had a buddy that had said he wanted to come elk hunting, kind of like, when you do the invite and you say, yeah, you ever want to go, call me, put in for a tag. Well, he did it. He put in, he came from South Carolina, put in for the tag, and he showed up. Right. So, let's see here. I had been in New Mexico hunting for a week, and then drove back to Colorado to meet him for his week of hunting. And so I had missed a bull in New Mexico again, and came back for that week to hunt with Alex. And so we got Alex up there. I mean, it's I don't know how many, it's 2,500 feet of gain. It's a lot of gain, and about 8 miles in the wilderness where we go. And he looked like Timmy from South Park walking. Like his legs were cramped up in the poor. I feel bad. Alex would laugh at it, but he couldn't use legs. It was just like just whatever he could shuffle his hips to get up there, right? Yeah. It's Alex and I and Jay, but Jay hadn't gotten up there yet. So Alex and I were chasing. We had found a herd, found a nice bull, had snuck in on it, and kind of run the program that I've heard, but I've never had work, which is guys will talk about when put them to bed, right? Get within 40 yards if you can of the furthest cow away, right? So let's pretend they're sitting in a circle. Let's get the wind, right? And let's get within 30 to 40, as close as you can comfortably get to his outermost cow, because he's going to come check the cows, right? So we were playing that game. Well, he was checking the cows. Like, I thought we were going to get a shot on this bull, and wind switches like it does, especially when you get into the high mountains. When you're up at like 10 to 12,000 feet, the wind doesn't just blow one direction up there. It swirls and it changes every 3 minutes, Yep. So we got set up. We're sitting there. I had Alex with an arrow knocked. They kind of bust us, but don't bust us in a big way. They just kind of give a soft pick up and move. And so we start to pursue them, and we're following them up this ridge, and they're just moving. They're not busted, but they're walking up a ridge away from us. And so we kind of follow them over this ridge. And I tell the story quickly, but you know how it is in hunting. This is a 3-hour ordeal. You know what I mean? Yeah. Of us kind of trying to slowly move, sneak in. We get a little bit of a bust. They kind of get up and start walking away, and we're just pursuing, trying to keep eyes on them. So if we can put them to bed again, then maybe we can make a play on that herd then, or the bull gives us an opportunity. Bull didn't give us an opportunity. They go up a big ridge, over the top, and dump back into this drainage, which actually happens to be now like the same. If you went far enough, it would land you in that marsh that me and Jay crossed the day that we hunted this bull behind me. And so I wasn't thinking about that at all. It makes sense in this story, and it makes sense in hindsight, but I wasn't thinking about that at the time at all. So Alex and I stopped to have lunch. It's lunchtime now, and it was kind of funny because Alex, he's a new hunter, and he's asking me kind of hunting theory. How do I feel about this, and what do I think about that? And I said, I was at the processor, and this Native American had a bison that he had brought in, and we were just talking. I was like, "Oh, that's a great experience." He goes, "Not really that hard." You know what I mean? I think he was Lakota Indian. He says, "Not that it's that hard. The bison will just kind of stand there." He said, "The practice of they are like a cow." And we said the practice of it is learning to connect with the animal and let the animal choose you. And he said in this particular situation, he walked up, and they were still a couple hundred yards off, but he said the guide, or what I'll call him, the spirit leader in the hunting side for him on that reservation was, he said, one of them will pick you, and if he doesn't pick you, then we're not killing anything. And he said that's what happened. Now these 4, he said one just sort of stepped out of this herd, this little group, and kind of walked over broadside and just stood there. He said, okay, that's your bison, bull, or
whoa.
I can't even say it, right? I can't say buffalo because I don't know if there are really buffalo anymore. But
did you ever read Steve Rinnella's Buffalo book, American Buffalo?
I haven't read that. No,
it's fantastic. It's about his buffalo hunt, but he goes into the taxonomy of it, where buffaloes were called buffaloes first, but no one scientifically classified it as a buffalo until after the African buffalo was classified. So it couldn't be a buffalo because it's not the same species. So technically, it was called a buffalo first, but it isn't taxonomically, or however you say that. And so its name is bison, and its scientific name is bison, which is crazy. But there you go. Great book.
You couldn't get a little more creative with, like, we can think of another word that sounds like bison or buffalo.
Let's just say it twice. Bison. So,
right. So I'd had this conversation with him. And so when Alex asked me my theory on hunting, I said, I've kind of adopted this thought, that is, if you choose to enter into the woods in this way and you ask that you have an animal that chooses you and you create, I know I'm getting way hippy-dippy here.
That's right.
But I think if you go into the woods with that mentality, and since I have been going in the woods with that mentality, it has been wild, absolutely wild.
That's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely it has been. And so, or maybe I just see it as that way. I accept the fact that there are no animals, and if I have a bull that walks in front of me at another 13 yards, that's my bull, right? That's the one I'm here to shoot. And it's happened the last 3 bulls. And
it also kind of answers that whole conundrum that people are like, well, would you shoot a cow on day one? And if you're like, well, if the animal presents itself, then it's my animal. So it kind of takes away that entire thing. To do. Yeah.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep. So Alex and I are kind of waxing on this theoretical kind of like how we approach hunting. And he's young, and it's his first time hunting, and I'm kind of going, hey, this has worked well for me. And it's helped me work on my relationship with the fact that I am killing an animal, right? And I'm in these woods, and what am I really here for? Do I really genuinely need the meat? I mean, I say that I need the meat, but it's probably the most expensive steak I'll ever eat in my life, And so we have this conversation. We eat lunch, we sit, and probably an hour and a half later, I told him, like, hey, let's go up, let's get up, let's cross this drainage, because I'm pretty sure they went up on this face. And so when things do start to move tonight at 4:30, I want to be over on this other face, and it's a couple miles away, right? So we start to walk down this cliff we'd had the conversation on, and probably 10 minutes into walking, Alex goes like, holy shit, man, look at that. And what I saw from behind him, because he was in front of me, no, he was behind me. And I'm stepping over a log, and I see like a hoof, like if a guy had shot a cow and butchered the cow there and cut the hoof off and chucked it in the woods like you would. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, man, somebody must have killed something over here. There's a hoof here. And he goes, no, man. He like points to my left, and there's, yeah, I know exactly. He points to my left, and on the ground is sitting this deadhead, right? And at the time, to me, I'm like, holy hell, man, there's a dead, there's a deadhead. It's a bull. That's badass. But I saw his left side, kind of the things that, those like 4, 5, and 6 I thought looked like flames. And I didn't say it to Alex right away. I didn't actually say it until I found my arrow. But in my mind, I was like, oh, that looks a lot like my bull from last year.
You're like, no way.
But there's no way in hell I'm ever going to claim that it was my bull. We don't have film of it or a video. I don't have fancy glasses or a chest, I would have no way of proving it. But I was like, God, that looks a lot like that bull I shot last year,
Yeah.
And so I take a knee to kind of pick up the antlers and look at them. And when I do, and now mind you, like all there is a head, there's fur laying, there's bones kind of scattered all over this chunk of woods, and there's undergrowth and trash on the ground. And this arrow was laying underneath all that trash and undergrowth. And so I take a knee, man, to look at this deadhead here, and this arrow just goes like this. Whoop. Like I didn't look through. It literally looks up right at me. It just goes bonk, and it's a full metal jacket 5mm that I got from Dudley, and so it's got his little green little thing on it. And luckily the serial number's on the arrow. Like I literally double checked. I still had a couple of these arrows in my quiver because I ordered like 3 dozen of these.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't even, I was like, I know it's my arrow. Like There's very few guys out here shooting a 5mm full metal jacket, 250, spine. Like, it's mine. But
that's a big fella arrow.
Quiver, and I was like, I'm going to double check the serial numbers on this thing to make sure. And it was. And so, yeah, man, I would have not in a million years ever said, even if I'd have known like 100% of my heart that was my bull I shot last year, I would have either left it there or brought it home as a souvenir, but I would have never talked about it being what I thought was mine. But it was absolutely wild, man. And kind of to tie back to that almost spiritual connection to the animal, right? That, you kneel over to check on this thing, and this arrow just kind of goes bonk and says hi to you, right?
That's cool. That's super cool.
That kind of sums up like probably my biggest failure in hunting, one of them anyway. But kind of a wild connection with the bull. No, we do, absolutely. Yeah. But a cool connection with the bull, right? And some closure to it as well.
Yeah.
I hate that I didn't get to take him home and help feed people with him. He fed lots of things. You could tell by the way the bodies were, the bones were scattered all over the woods, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
lots of coyotes
and for sure.
A couple questions. It looks like you still got some fur or skin on the head. Did you have to do anything to keep it like that? Because that is a super cool look. You haven't touched them. Okay, so that's just like naturally dried a year out there.
Badass looking bull. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool.
There's still fur or just some skin on his skull here. Obviously, you can see it. There's still hair up around the base of the antlers.
Okay. It doesn't stink or anything, I assume, right? Like the bugs took care of most of the flesh.
No more than I do, man. So it's we both probably smell a little bit.
Kind of cancel each other out a little bit.
At all. I mean, it's been out there for a year, right? I think it had whatever was going to, bugs probably ate through anything that was organic on it.
Okay.
I literally just dusted it off. I didn't even wash it off the hose or anything.
That's awesome. How far, as he lay, was from like the last spot that you remember, like looking for him? Like how far off were you?
From where we were, probably about. I had it in Onyx. It was like 800 yards.
Okay, so substantial.
It was still a long way off.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was like 800 to 1,200 yards, give or take, depending on how we went there. Yeah. Dude, the downfall, trashy, messy chunk of woods he was in, we'd have never found him. I could have been 3 yards from him and probably wouldn't have seen him in that chunk of wood. I mean, the fact that we stumbled onto him in this chunk of woods is incredible. And that Alex saw him, I wouldn't have seen him. I was just stepping over log, and Alex was like, "Hey, that's antlers there."
That's cool.
It was
like normally you find one, you're like, "Oh, check that out. That'd be Alex's dead head," and then you're like, "Actually, I've got a receipt right here."
Yeah, exactly, dude. I've never asked him. I don't think that kid was so gracious and grateful to be in those woods and getting to learn how to hunt.
Yeah,
I don't think he would have ever even thought about the fact that in theory, it would, in my mind, I'd have said, "Hey, you found it, it's yours."
Yeah.
The only way this ends up in my shop is that, I found my arrow in the bone pile. And so
the serial number.
I've never thought about that. But Alex, in hindsight, it's funny. That it'd have been his deadhead, man. That kid had the craziest experience for it being his first trip. He did a bunch of cool videos. I mean, we saw a mountain lion try and attack a cow-calf pair. We got to watch it. We saw multiple moose. We saw coyotes up at 12,000 feet. This kid got like a National Geographic. He was up there for 6 days, and we had bulls behind bushes, like where they were bugling so hard I could see his face rattling. We got in him. He never got an arrow off. He was almost in on a bull, and the bull was moving, and then we didn't see it, and the bull didn't see it. And he's feeding through this moose brush, and all of a sudden he runs into a big bull moose that none of us knew was there. Yeah. So I'm like pushing Alex up. I'm like, "Okay, you're 45." I was like, "I want him at 30," and we had plenty of cover. I was like, "All right, we're going to move up another 10 yards. You're going to get set up. I'm going to cow call once he comes up in this opening, and that's your opportunity, right?" Freaking, I'm set up. Alex is set up. He's got all kinds of good cover. It's perfect. This bull is bugling. There's cows ahead of him. He doesn't know we're there. Wind's perfect. He comes, he steps in this opening, and it's in kind of this pine, like small kind of juniper-looking pines and moose brush. And all of a sudden he steps in, and I go to cow call, and a freaking gigantic bull moose stands up right in front of him. scares the shit out of the moose, the elk, me, Alex, everybody. The whole party's broken up, right? Nobody's in, like, the whole drainage is empty in like 3 minutes because the elk, they bust up on the ridge above us and they're done. The moose runs off. He's pissed. And me and Alex are sitting there holding our, what's in our hands, So
yeah,
dude, he had a great 6-day hunt. I mean, the kid got so many opportunities. I'm kind of glad he didn't shoot a bull because I want him to come back, and it would have been just too good for him. It would have been almost unfair.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's great to have those moments in the woods. I've had a couple of those. It was all on my same elk hunt, but this reminds me of one part where it's like opening day, probably 3 years ago, elk season, and I'm going into this big draw, and we see that there's at least, I think, 2 bulls and like 4 cows. And I'm like, whatever, it's opening day, it's raghorn. It's not really something I want to shoot, but I'm going to make a play at it. Just practice, right?
Yeah.
So I just, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And Jermaine wanted a cameraman with me. So it's me and this cameraman walking through this giant, like, basically that moose scrub brush, a little swampy, little stuff in there. Yeah. And we realized that there's like a whole other herd of elk up at the top of this thing. There's the herd that we're dealing with. On the left side, we've got at least 2 moose. And so, like, I'm in this valley or this draw with just like every animal in the woods. And I was like, man, the Circle of Life should be playing right now from The Lion King. Yes. Like, it was just this super cool moment.
There's probably a cat watching it all with you. There's probably a mountain lion up there watching it going.
For sure. What's funny, though, is they're taking a video of me, not the camera guy that's right behind me, but the guys up on the hill just sort of watching with their videos. And I'm like, okay, there's 2 bull and 4 cow, but I can only see 2 bull and 3 cow. So I'm like, he's probably just right over there. So I just keep sneaking in. I make it like 500 yards, basically across an open field, through swamp, hiding behind one tree. And then the video went viral, like 1.5 million views or something, because I'm like sneaking. And right to my left is that 4th cow, just like staring at me. And I'm like, I think I'm being so sneaky. And my buddies are like, no, stop. Like, just like, at this point,
watches you go past.
Oh, well, it watches me go past for a while, and then it boogers. And this is another one of those magical moments because it gets split up from the group, but it doesn't go too far. It just goes into the woods. And then the moose comes through, spooks the rest of the group. They run off. And now I'm in the middle of this. I'm like on a mound, just laying there because it's all blown. And everything's, the elk are barking at each other. So I've got elk 40 yards on each side of me, just like making all this noise. I can see the other herd now paying attention to what we're doing. I can see the moose walking around. I'm like, this is awesome. I was like, I didn't really want to kill that raghorn anyways, but this was just such a cool experience just to be right here, right now. Animals in every direction. It's just, some pretty magical things can happen.
There's a lot of times you can just trade camera for bow and be really happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, man, we've taken up more than enough of your time. And a little spoiler for the other folks, we're going to get together again. We're going to do another podcast on your podcast and do one of those campfire storytelling sessions.
Hot seat, man. Let you get in the hot seat a little bit.
There we go. Everyone's already heard all of mine, but I'm happy to share them with you. But let's do this,
man. You do get to hear your old stories again and again, but it's fun to have the conversation.
Absolutely, man. But let's do this. Why don't you share the folks like a little bit more about Rucklist if you want to, and where they can find you, your podcast, website, everything you want to share, and then we'll walk off into the sunset for now.
Wonderful.
But we'll be back.
Absolutely. So Rucklist, rucklist.com. So you can find us there. That's probably the kind of the start, the easiest. Once we get the app dropped, it'll be in the App Store. And that's where you'll go. It'll be free for the basics. So you'll get 3 of your own. You've got on much of your own gears you want to put in there, 3 gear lists that you can save, and then 1 that you can download from somebody else kind of on the free version. Mm-hmm. So we want everybody to be able to use it as a tool initially. So it'll be under Rucklist on the App Store, Rucklist_official on Instagram.
Okay.
And I think that pretty well covers where they can find us, man. I mean, now we're really focused on finishing this kind of back into the app up, and then the dream someday is to just have somebody reach out to us and say, hey, I'm new to this. I downloaded a list. It made all the difference in the world, and I was able to shoot my first cow elk or something like that. So
that's awesome.
That's what we're doing.
Do you guys have templates, right? So like they download the app, but then it's like, hey, here's a starter list.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got multiple different versions of just kind of your basics, like, hey, your basic 3-day elk hunt, right? And then you can add on to that, or you can go peek at everybody else's hunting list, so you can see what everybody else is packing, they're taking with them in the woods. And so And I think it's going to help people not spend money on stuff they don't need either. That's a big piece for us. When I got into this, I was a poor college kid. And it was I was fly fishing for a long time before hunting, and buying rods and reels off of Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace now, and finding the leftover fly in the discount fly bins and things. And so a big piece of this is that we'd like to see that none of these young hunters or fishermen ever buy something they don't really need, right? Yep. Hopefully they don't spend $300 on a pack they'll never use, or get the right tent, buy one time and have the right one with you. So yeah, man, that's kind of what we're up to, and we're super excited to have it out there. I think it's going to be a really good tool for especially those young people coming in. But I think for me, like I said, you throw your 14-year-old in the truck for a bear hunt and you start double checking everybody's list. And I did, because internally with the teams, we were using it currently, just like the public will use it here in a couple of weeks. And I downloaded 2 different lists from the 2 different guys on the team. One guy had taken his son multiple times, and one guy has 2 young boys that he's taken, and so they had lists where they had the kids' stuff on there.
That's awesome.
That's
a big
super
difference, cool. Man. Yeah, I'm using like a grocery shopping app right now for my hunting list. Yeah, I know. It's functional, but it's not anything special, and I've forgotten things because I forgot to uncheck whatever on my I forgot to uncheck my bananas.
Yeah, we
whatever.
Are well aware of not reinventing the checkbox. You know what I mean? That's been there for a long time.
Yeah,
but we just hope that we can kind of, as a community, kind of share some knowledge, and then grow our level of confidence as we go out into the woods.
I love it, man. I love it. And I will put links to everything in the show notes. Guys, check out Brian. Check out Rucklist. It's super cool. Yeah. And man, we'll connect soon. Well, hopefully that episode's not too far out, but we'll get another one here with some more stories. So
you tell me what we're doing, and we'll make it happen.
All right, man. All right, Brian. Thanks again. Appreciate you for coming on, man.
Absolutely. You be good.
All right, guys. That's it. Another couple stories in the books. I want to say thank you again to Brian for coming on the podcast. We're definitely going to get back together. I'm going to get on his podcast. We'll do some hunting roundtables. Give me some feedback, guys. Do you like those when we get a bunch of folks and everyone tells a story or two? But again, Brian, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you, and I love what you're doing. To listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you give us a follow, a like, subscribe, whatever you're listening to us on. I would really appreciate that. And if you got some stories, hit me up. I'd love to hear them. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Now get out there and make some stories of your own. Thank you.
Hi, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. Are you looking for a beach read this summer? May I suggest your big wireless bill? It's got suspense, mystery, a slightly flat, emotional arc, and a shocking twist where you realize you've been overpaying the entire time. Fortunately, though, Mint story is better. Every plan, $15 a month, even unlimited. That's it. Happy ending. Zero tears.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
The right window treatments change everything. Your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 5-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 50% off with minimum purchase, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.